I didn't plan to be back in that town. I told myself it was temporary. That's what we all say when we're not ready to admit something is unfinished. The place hadn't changed much. Same streets, same coffee shop on the corner, same silence in the evenings that made you hear your own thoughts. What had changed was me, or at least that's what I thought. I came back because my father was sick. Nothing dramatic, just the slow kind of sick that rearranges priorities without asking. We never talked much, not about feelings, not about mistakes. We communicated through tasks. Fix this, drive there, pick up groceries. It worked for years, until it didn't. The house felt smaller than I remembered, walls closer, memories louder. I slept in my old room the first night. Didn't sleep at all. I ran into her at the grocery store. Of course I did. That's how these places work. Her name was Sarah. We'd grown up together. Not romantically, just close enough to know each other's tells. She looked the same and completely different. "You're back," she said. Not surprised, just observant. We talked like no time had passed, and like everything had. She asked about the city. I asked about her life. We avoided the parts that still had weight. I told myself it was coincidence, that I didn't care, that the past had no grip on me anymore. But that night, lying in my childhood bed, I realized something unsettling. The life I built elsewhere had been designed to keep this place from pulling me back. I wasn't here just to help my father. I was here because there were things I'd never finished being. And Sarah, she wasn't a memory. She was a reminder. The next morning, she texted, "Coffee?" I stared at the screen longer than necessary. Then I replied, "Sure." I didn't know it yet, but coming back wasn't about revisiting the past. It was about facing the parts of myself I'd left behind. Same chipped mugs, same uneven tables, same window where the afternoon light made everything look softer than it really was. Sarah was already there. Of course she was. She always arrived early, not out of politeness, out of control. She liked knowing where things stood before they moved. "You look tired," she said. I smiled. The kind you use when the truth would take too long to explain. Travel does that. She didn't argue. She never did when she knew there was more underneath. We talked about small things. The weather, the new bakery, people who left and never came back. Every sentence carried something unsaid. She asked about my work. I told her the clean version. Career, projects, busy schedule. I didn't tell her about the nights when the city felt just as lonely as this town. "You always wanted more," she said. It wasn't a compliment. It wasn't an accusation either. Just an observation. I shrugged. "I still do." She looked at me for a second longer than necessary. "Do you?" That question stayed with me all day. Through the hospital visit. Through my father's silence. Through the drive back home. He was thinner, quieter, still stubborn. He didn't ask about my life, didn't ask why I left, didn't ask why I came back. That night, he spoke more than usual. "I thought leaving would make you lighter," he said, staring at the TV without really watching it. "It didn't," I replied before thinking. He nodded, like he already knew. The next few days fell into a rhythm. Mornings at the hospital, afternoons fixing things around the house, evenings walking through streets that remembered me better than I remembered them. Sarah and I kept running into each other, on purpose this time. Coffee turned into walks. Walks turned into long silences that felt comfortable in a dangerous way. One night, she stopped in front of my old school. "Do you ever wonder," she said, "who you'd be if you stayed?" I didn't answer, because the truth was, I wondered all the time. I told her about the city, about the pressure, about the constant need to prove something. She listened without interrupting, then said, "You're still running." That hurt more than I expected, because she was right. I realized something that week. I hadn't left to chase dreams. I'd left to escape expectations. His, hers, my own. And now they were all waiting for me here. On Friday evening, she invited me over. Just dinner. Nothing implied. Everything understood. Standing outside her door, I hesitated. Not because of her, because of what staying might mean. I knocked anyway. Some doors don't close behind you. Bread, a bottle of wine neither of us really tasted. We talked slowly, like people afraid to spill something fragile. You don't have to stay, Sarah said finally. I looked up. But you could. There it was. Not a plea, not a demand, just an open door. Later, we sat on the floor, backs against the couch. The room smelled like basil and old books. I felt calm. That scared me more than chaos ever had. I used to think leaving was bravery, I said. She nodded. And now? Now I think staying can be. My phone buzzed. The hospital. I froze. My father had collapsed an hour earlier. Not critical, but close enough to remind us how thin time really is. I drove through empty streets, heart louder than the engine. In the hospital room, he looked smaller than ever, fragile, human. He opened his eyes. You came back, he said. Not surprised, not accusing, just noticing. I'm here, I replied, and for the first time, I meant more than just tonight. He slept. I stayed. I watched the steady rise and fall of his chest and felt something loosen inside me. In that quiet room, I understood something important. Leaving doesn't erase where you come from, and staying doesn't mean you failed. The next morning, I walked out into the pale sunlight. Sarah was waiting by her car. She didn't ask questions, didn't rush me. I don't know how long, I said. That's okay, she replied. I'm not asking for forever. We stood there, two people who had learned that love isn't about possession. It's about presence. Weeks later, I still hadn't booked a return flight. I started helping my father with physical therapy, started freelancing remotely, started sleeping without the weight of running. One evening, sitting on the porch, my father said, "You seem lighter." I smiled. So do you. Some people chase freedom across borders, others find it in acceptance. I didn't abandon my life, I expanded it, because sometimes the bravest thing a man can do is stop running.